Okay, so this is part 2 of for engineering design 2020, 2021. This will be the tool holder that I'm going to go over. So we're looking at this part here. Here's the cover sheet that was provided for you. Again, reading the directions. Refer to the picture below for the origin or location of the origin. And then we're going to build this part and find the center of mass and the mass. Okay, so looking at this, again, a couple things I always know that students do wrong on this. They automatically see this isometric and assume they're going to start on the front view because they're looking at the drawing. But if you look at this isometric, this is actually the right side view. Okay, so we're going to I'm going to start this on the right hand side. I'm going to get the basic block built, and then we're going to start cutting away at it. So this is one I'm going to try to basically build as a hack and whack method, which means I'm going to basically drill or get the outside shape, and then I'm going to start cutting things away until I get the part that I want. But I'm going to start it on the right plane. This is really critical because if you get it on the wrong plane and flip it, then your X, Y, and Z and your center of mass will all be backwards. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get the other piece of this open, which is the actual drawing. Looking at the drawing here, here's what we got. I'm going to start this. Now I know this is like your front view, but it's not. Again, if you look at the isometric, that is the right side view. Yes, I play tricks with you to see if you're paying attention to your isometric view. This is the view we want to recreate. So it's imperative we get this right. But I will use these key dimensions when I'm drawing on my right plane in order to get this shape. Now we're going to again draw a metric part. So I'm going to go ahead and get my SolidWorks up, move this over. I'm going to start with a file new, metric, and OK. Starting on the right plane, I'm going to start a new sketch. And I'm basically going to start with a line tool. Again, this will be the corner that we saw the origin. So in this case, I'm going to draw back. So I'm starting on that bottom if you're looking at that first view in the drawing. I'm going to draw basically just a rough shape here. There's going to be a line coming down. I'm going to pull away and create a shallow arc. That basically gets me to somewhere right there and finish with a line. Okay, so hit my F key to center it up. Now at this point I'm going to turn on my Smart Dimension tool and start throwing some dimensions on. Okay, so first and foremost, I'll go ahead and hit this back line here. I see 32. This right here is going to be 14. The height of this will be 5. The height from here to the bottom is going to be 47. The overall height from here to the top is going to be the right side view in the drawing of 63 millimeters. This cut right here will be 35. 63 will go outside here, and then from here, from the very front to the very back, is going to be 98 millimeters. And then this right here is going to have a radius of 32, and then it's going to have a distance between here and this front line, and this is a dimension that a lot of students forget. It's going to be 3 millimeters from that edge. In addition, it's going to be 35 millimeters from this bottom line. So there is my final dimension, or actually the first step in this design, fully dimensioned, fully defined. So now what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to go ahead, and you got to be careful here because you got to remember we want this origin to stay on the front corner. So when I go to my features and do an extrusion, I got to be careful which direction I'm going to. Okay, I've had a lot of students getting these completely backwards because they carry it this way, or they do a mid plane, which puts this right in the middle, or they come straight out here and then the origin ends up on the back edge here. So I need to reverse my direction, and I'm going to do a extrusion of 41 millimeters and hit my check mark. So now there is that origin, just like we saw it in the original drawing here. Oops, let me go back to this one. There is that origin right in that corner, exactly where I want to be. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my material, which is alloy steel. Right click here, edit material. Under steel, I'm going to go for alloy steel, not the SS. Apply, close. I'm going to do a control save. I'm going to call this the tool holder underscore my last name, and save. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting away at this stuff, okay? I'm going to start on this back edge. I'm going to go ahead and start by highlighting this face right here, starting a new sketch, doing a space bar and a normal 2. I'm going to start with my line tool, and I'm going to come down this edge here. I'm going to pull away and create an arc that touches here, pull up to close, and close this off. All right? Now, I'm going to make sure that that center of this arc is on this edge. I see that in that front view. So I'm going to go here with my control key, hit this edge right here with my control key, and make them coincident. I'm going to dimension this arc to a radius of 22. And then the center of this right here is going to be 12 millimeters down. It's on the same center as the circle that we'll add in here in a second. Now we're going to cut this back 9 millimeters. That is from the top view. So I'm going to do in the features, extruded cut. I'm cutting in 9 millimeters and hitting my check mark. So from the isometric view, this is what we're looking at. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to this face again. I'm going to cut out that circle. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a sketch, a space bar normal 2. And I'm going to add a circle. And I'm going to make that circle kind of in the same line because it's going to share that same center as our arc. I'm going to dimension this circle a diameter of 9 millimeters. It is going to be a distance of 11 millimeters inside. And in this case, it's going to be 12 millimeters from this top surface. Now this one is going through all. So now what I'm going to do is go to my features, extruded cut, and I want to make sure it's going the right direction. I rotate it, and then I'm going to do a through all and hit my check mark. Okay, now I've done a couple steps, so what I want to do is quickly do a control save, control S. All right, so now what I'm going to start doing from here is I'm going to go ahead and start cutting away. I'm going to do actually the top surface here. I'm going to cut off a rectangle, do a normal 2. I'm going to draw a rectangle that's from this back corner here forward. It is going to be 51 millimeters long. It is going to be 28 millimeters from this far edge here. So I'm going to actually measure from the other side. Now from here, I'm just going to do an isometric so you can see this. And I'm going to do a features, extruded cut. We're going to do a through all. I'm going to go ahead now under my features tool, and I'm going to take and drop this to chamfer. I'm going to chamfer the edge 14 millimeters by 30 degrees. So where it says 1, I'm going to go 14. Yours probably said 10. Where it says 45, I'll put 30. And then I'm just going to click on this edge right here. Okay. I'm going to hit my check mark, and now I have that back chamfer done. I'm going to do a control S to save. And now I'm going to come to the surface right here, start a new sketch, space bar normal 2. Then I'm going to add in my circle. I'm going to dimension that circle to a diameter of 11 millimeters. I'm going to place it 9 millimeters from this front edge right here. It's going to be 25 millimeters from this edge over here. Do another isometric view, features, extruded cut, through all. Control S. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead on this side here and start making some cuts. So I'm going to go ahead and space bar, normal 2. I'm going to go ahead and make that like C-channel cut, but I'm going to start with basically a circle tool. I'm just going to kind of attach it somewhere along here. All right, that circle is in line I got to make this, no, I'm actually going to attach it right to this bend right here with a coincident. I'm going to make this a diameter of 25.4 times 2. Actually, you could pick either number. I prefer to do the top one. I'm going to hit enter. And then now I'm just going to keep it as is, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that one in at a distance of, I got to find the measurement, 13 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in at 13. So features, extruded cut. I'm going to make sure I'm going the right direction. 13 millimeters, and hit my check mark. So now here's what I'm looking at. Now what I'll do is build off this face. I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to do a new sketch, spacebar normal to. Again, I'm going to draw my circle right there at that intersection point right there. I am going to dimension that as a diameter of 22. I am then going to do a quick trim, but I have to first use my Convert Entities tool. I'm going to highlight this line and this arc right here and hit my check mark. This will then allow me to do a trim entities, trim to closest, and I'm just going to trim off that part of the circle and this piece here. So it's just this half moon shape and these two lines. All right, I'm going to extrude that at 5 millimeters. That's 13 minus 8 gives me 5 millimeters. So features, extrude, and I'm going to do 5 millimeters. And hit my check mark. So what we're basically doing here is the cake method. It's as simple as it gets. We're just adding layers on layers. So I'm going to do a quick control save. I'm going to highlight this face right here. Start a new sketch. Spacebar normal to. I'm going to draw a circle, again attached right there at that intersection. That circle will have a dimension of 14.27. I'm going to do the high numbers on all of them. And I'm going to extrude that out a distance of 8 millimeters. So features, extrude, make sure I'm going the right direction, and I'm going to do 8 millimeters. And check. So now at this point, I am almost done with this part. Control S to save. The only thing missing is the little pieces down here in this corner. Okay. Now this is one that I'm actually going to go ahead and draw from this face. I'm going to start a sketch, a space bar, and a normal 2. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to start with another circle. All right, and this circle is going to be lined up with this corner. I'm going to draw a circle. Okay, this circle here is going to have a radius of 27 times 2. Okay, 27 times 2. Okay, so for 54. This is going to be vertically aligned, so it's going to be in the same alignment as my origin. So I'm going to do vertical. It's also going to be 35 millimeters up. Okay, it's sharing that same center, 35. Okay, so that defines that. Now, I'm going to take and draw a second circle, all right, using this center. And I'm going to attach it right to that corner so it overlaps. All right, and hopefully you're starting to see how this plays out. I'm going to highlight that line right there, hit Convert Entities, and then I'm going to take my line tool, and from this corner I'm just going to draw straight up until it touches that circle. Okay, now this is the piece I need, so I'm going to trim the rest of this off because I only need this section right here. So what I'm going to do is go to Trim, take off that part of the circle, and this part of the circle, this part of the circle, and that part of the circle. Okay, so now what I'm left with is just this little area right here, and I'm hoping that will actually pan out. I'm hoping I got that closed. So that's the piece I need right there. In that case right there, I'm going to extrude that out at 8 millimeters. All right, so I'm going to go to Features, Extrude, flip the direction 8 millimeters, check. Spacebar isometric, Control S, and now your tool holder is complete. You can see there's quite a few branches in this design tree, so a little more complex, but again, not overly difficult. Now, you need to do the mass properties on this. You need to find the mass and the center mass and enter it into the assessment for the spindle and tool holder in Schoology. I'm not going to show you that. That is on to you. However, I will walk you through the drawing real quick so you understand how it was set up, and then you will need to submit both the part and the drawing into Schoology for grade. So we are going to start with a GHSA metric drawing. I'm going to double click my tool holder. I'm going to start with a right side view. Hidden lines on. Scale will be at 1:1. So custom scale, roll it up to 1:1. I'm going to place the front or right side view in the front view's position. Create a top view. Pull to my right. Pull my isometric. Now in this case, what I'll do is I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this box. Drop this metric down, and again to my left where it says border, none, drop it to box. Now from here, I'll go back into my view layout, model view, double click my tool holder, and I'm just going to bring in the isometric view with color, custom scale, 1:1, and drag it right up here to the top. I'm going to highlight all the black lines right there and delete them off. Okay, that is done. I'm going to go through each of the views. I'm going to pull off any lines that I do not need. Okay, so these all look good there. This looks good, yes and yes. Looking over here, I've got my center lines. We are good to go. The only thing I need to add right now is the two little center marks over here to the left. To do that, I'm going to go to my annotation toolbar, center mark tool, take off the document defaults and the extended lines, and I'm going to click on the two arcs, this one here and then this one down here. Okay, so 1 and 1, and that puts the two right next to each other. I am done with my center marks. I am now going to go through really quickly. I'm going to add in my note, so I'm just going to copy from my PDF file, Control Copy. I'm going to go ahead and add the note here, Control V. I'm going to go ahead and left justify, font size 12. Okay, it is your job then to enter in the mass, the X, Y, and Z. All right, and at this point, that gives me my note. Now I'm going to simply go through and quickly add in my dimensions, because I need to show you how to add the stack dimension. So from here to this bottom will be 35. I will do a dimension from here to that right there is 27. This arc right here will be 32. This arc right here is going to be 25. I'm going to flip that arrow. Now this one shows as what we call a stack dimension, which basically means it is being given a tolerance. To change that, where it says tolerance precision, if you drop it from none to limit, the top number will stay the same, so this will stay the same, but the bottom number will be subtracted by 0.05, enter. Hit your check mark. Okay, and just adjust as you need to, like so. Okay, looks good. I'm going to hit the other circle right here. Click on this one here, pull up, it says 14. None, tolerance precision, where it says none, go to limit. I'm going to drop the bottom one by 0.05 and hit my check mark. Continuing on, I get this one here. It's going to give me a radius of 11. I'm going to hit my check mark and close out, and then I'm going to right click on this 11, go to display options, display as diameter. Turn my smart dimension back on from the very front to the very back. I'm going to add in the 98. Go ahead and add on my 35. Add on the 11. Add on this 9. 22. The 47. The 12. Let's see, that looks like it's almost in there. This one here will be 5. Pull that down. 32 right here. And 14 right here. Okay. That takes care of the front view. Right side view here, I'm going to go with the 63. Top to bottom. There's my 63. From left to right here will be my 41. And then we'll add the note in here for the chamfer at the end. Okay, then up top here, coming up here, it's going to get a little tight. From here to here will be 8. From here to here will be 13. As you can see, this is a pretty tight drawing. It gets really pretty close here. Pull that over a little bit more. Pull this over. And that way I can add in my 25 from the circle to this edge here. And then this will be 11. Here to the front will be 9. From this line here to here will be 51. This one here to here will be 9. And this line right here will be 28. So now again, I'm going to have to snuggle these up a little bit tighter, bring them in a little bit more like you see in the drawing, so that I can possibly bring this over a little bit more to the left. There we go, so nothing's on top of each other. Okay, now at this point, you just got to add in your note over here, so I'll slide this over. You're going to add a note tool there. I'm going to let you finish that off on your own. Make sure you change the title block. In this case, the title block for this one will be figure 6-8 or 0.85. Figure 6.85 space dash space tool holder. All right. Put your first initial last name, change the date, scale 1 to 1, and put the correct period. When you're done, save this. You will upload this and your part to Schoology to get credit for the assignment. With that said, that is all I've got. Good luck. We are done.